strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
Hello listeners, and welcome to our final part in the series of conversation with Sharon Corvinus-Jones in Community and Belonging.
The social opportunities, and if you're not somebody, like I was never one for going into pubs and clubs. Well, being disabled, that's another story. For being into access and stuff. And so there was a person that I knew at a time. It's interesting how circumstances, one goes on to another and goes on to another. And I happened to meet an elderly lady, and she said, would you like to come to a community group meeting? Now, I was, I'm very introvert by nature, shy by nature, with all the trauma that I'm carrying, with all the, why would I want to go to something else again, where everywhere that I've been, I've just been like sat down there, have a cup of latte and no one to talk to. So I don't know, I can't tell you why I said yes, but we both knew this person who's now passed away, but she was a very strong person, but a very caring person. So it was sort of like, almost giving me that little push to go.
Yeah.
I would say more than a little push. And I'll never forget it. Went into that building, opened the door, and at the time you had blonde streaks. Not, we won't say you're going grey now, but blonde streaks. And you just looked at me and you said, "G'day, mate, welcome."
Yeah.
Now, that was like 3 words that have stuck with me up until today. And they will stick with me until the day that I die.
Yeah.
Because when you've been and gone to places and then been involved with organisations, whether it be church organisations, other organisations, and you go along there and they're told, "Come along, we'll make you feel welcome." And then you go and you're not made feel welcome because you don't meet X, Y, and Z, and you don't click, and you don't have the right pedigree, or you don't have the right thing. So that was sort of like, for me, it was like, there's something different about this person. I couldn't work out what was different about you. It was just something different, and I thought, I want to get to know this person. But me being me, it was sort of like, I deep down, very deep down, don't look like you're interested in getting to know. You're just sort of like sitting there and listening, because listeners, for me, I'm one of these people that will sit for quite a long time and not say anything. I can go months. I don't know so much about now, but I can go months and not say much, and like still waters run deep, and then I will start to speak, and then people would say to me, "Oh, gee, you've come out of your shell. We didn't know that, you've got this much of thing." But the thing being is, with all that trauma of, going into these things, and you open yourself up because they say, "Oh, be part of this," and you found that you've been shot down because of X, Y, and Z, or you're not, you don't. And so what do? You end up, in my case, it was like, I give up.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yes.
Because it's safe.
Yeah. True.
Because the thing is that why risk myself to being hurt again? But there was that little bit of me that said, "Oh, we'll keep this open. This, it's an open." So, I mean, I don't have a lot of memory back then, because a lot of it was sort of I was going through a lot of hard time. But I know that every time you had not changed who you are as a person. It's sort of like you get to know people, and they are who you see they am at day one, but by about year one, that you get to know them. Yes, we all have our foibles and flaws, but you've never changed. You've always been that caring, welcoming person. And we fast forward a couple of years, and I mean during this time of getting to know you and watching you as a human being, because it's sort of like, when's she going to slip up? When is Sharon going to say something, or like, no, you just don't fit. You don't fit thing. So I watched, and going, this, I think this is about 3 years into knowing you. You had organised leadership camps for LGBTIQ plus people in Tasmania, and I had come to a point in my life where I did not want to be around anymore. Even though people like yourself, and I was attending. I wasn't participating. I was attending because it was like, I know I need something, but I put so much. I'm a sort of a person. I'm either all or nothing.
Yeah.
Always have been with everything that I do. So it's like, I really don't know about this. Can I? I'm at the point now where, look, I want to say things I trust Sharon. I want to be able to talk to things about Sharon, because I've heard your story, Sharon, many, many times.
Yeah.
And, I've found, there's been parts of my life that have been, I feel parallel. There are things that I relate to very much so. So I got to a point one day, and I talk a lot about signposts, major milestones, in life. And you are my number one major milestone, because I point of change, and wanting to go on. Because I said to you one day, I just said, Sharon, I don't want to be here anymore. And it was like, is this still part of it as a person? Like, she, even though I love and care and trust her.
Yeah, for sure.
And that started me, because I've had a lot of religious trauma and family trauma and stuff like that, which I wasn't able to. I actually, you were one of the first people I could trust to talk about that, and know that I'm not going to be judged.
Yeah.
That you cared. You cared about me.
Yeah.
And so, you led me in a direction of suggesting of going and contacting an organisation, not just throwing me by the wayside, but as extra support, because I think you could see there was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of trauma there, was a lot of stuff that, because, we've said, you said to me, which in the past, we didn't think we'd see 50. We've seen 50, and I'm 53 this year, and at the end of this year, and it's sort of like, I didn't think I'd see 50, because there was, like, to me, there was no hope. So you never know. Like, people these days think, well, you've got social media and you've got all this stuff that's going on, and you think you see the person. You think, you're looking at the person.
Yep.
But the thing is that people, you spend time with them, you see their heart. You only see what, social media, the internet and everything. You can be who you want to be. You can be somebody completely different. But coming, it's got if it doesn't add up in the real world.
Yeah.
And so, I think, I suppose, today I'm saying thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Because I mean, especially after the heart attack. I mean, it's only been 3 weeks, listeners, and it's sort of like, it's really sort of, 6 months ago, if someone had said I'd be sitting here having a conversation with you doing podcasting, it was just, or even 3 years ago, it was like, oh, come on, So Sharon, what would you say? I mean, like, I've sat here and I've said from my point of view how I felt by the impact that you've had on my life. How do you feel? Do you feel, I mean, that you've had impact in people's lives, that just being you and you not being you and going, look at me, but just being you and living who you're genuine, being genuine, having connection, having community, and just, being fair dinkum, as we say.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a few points there that come up as you were talking, and certainly I was a bit hard to believe if people know me that I used to be quite shy. So when I went into a room, I was quite shy and timid, and and that sort of thing. So it was really important to me when I started doing group work and that we were welcoming, that we made sure that people felt that everybody feels welcome, because you do go into rooms, and I think if we're doing group work and that, we need to make everyone feel included, and some people that are quiet and not pushing people to talk, letting people be quiet and letting people have their own space, but also, just a smile and letting people know that you're there for them and they can talk to you if they want to, and welcoming people. I think that's really important. And often we talk about, lots of people in a training session the other day, we were talking about, how we could be more welcoming, or how, people could be more welcoming and stuff. And I think that we always got that, well, certainly in any group work I did, I got that right, because it's really important, and that you value everybody, and everyone's got their voices. So, and some of that, that's why I went on with some of the leadership group work and that as well. I think that was all very valuable. And, so, I certainly, there was a point in my life where I said, well, if I'm going to live this life, I'm going to, try and make it a bit easier for the people that come behind me. So, that was about, I guess, educating communities. And so, the biggest thing in communities is to be out, really, and just be yourself, and out about your sexuality or gender identity and that, and then people understand. We don't understand what we don't see. So if we've got a whole lot of communities where nobody's out and people don't get to know anyone, that was when I was with Working It Out, for instance. I said there was 3 things we needed to do at Working It Out that we needed to do, and that was firstly was supporting people to be out in their communities and stay in their communities, because when I first started working on the Northwest Coast, often gay men didn't stay there. They moved to Hobart or Sydney or Melbourne or somewhere, and then so supporting people to be out within their communities is the biggest thing that brings change. And then community education as well, so that people understand, and also training service providers so that they can support, because any LGBTIQA plus person should be able to work into any service in Tasmania and have their needs met, because we're just humans. We're not that different, really. And, yes, we do need services, and yes, we're lucky that we've got services that are specific. But, so I certainly set out to support people and be there for people within my work role and within some of the volunteer role in my life. So certainly, I've heard a few people over the years say that that they wouldn't be alive without my support, and that's I always said if I could save one life, I'd be very grateful, because I really felt for those people that we lost back in the time when I first started in this sort of work. But even anybody in supporting people in communities, I always like to think that I'm welcome everybody, and to whatever I do, really. I've been involved in the Mole Creek Progress Association and stuff like that. It's really important that you welcome new people when they come along, and support them to do what they bring, whatever they bring to the those roles, and but I do I really have enjoyed the time that I've spent sitting in LGBTIQA plus inclusion, and I sort of see myself now as a change agent. So I'm really about social change and communities changing, and as I said before, it takes a community to raise a child, and it takes a community to support an adult, and we need to come back to that and really get behind people and support them. And when people are down, we should be helping them up, really, rather than trampling them into the dust, which sometimes happens.
Yeah. Is there anything like, we're sitting here and we're having we're talking about we're simplifying, and I'm saying it's simple in what to do is to be kind to people, welcome people.
Yeah.
And I mean, if don't feel confident doing that, there are other people in a group or an organisation that can.
Yes.
Is there any reason you think in this day and age, or if it's always been that, that we make it complicated.
Well, I think we do overcomplicate stuff, really. You know, someone said in one of the forums that I was at, and it was, someone actually there said, people we don't need better laws and or anything. What we really need is people to be kind.
Mm.
And that's really basic. People just need to be kind to other people. It's interesting, really, that people aren't sometimes kind to other people, and and sometimes that's about fear that they've been burnt before, so they don't get burnt again, or whatever as well. But I think it's about we've got a bit of work to do in communities yet to get them to be inclusive and welcoming of everybody, whoever that might be. But I think the other thing, when we were talking about your story before as well, and that time, and I remember it quite clearly when you. Firstly when you come to the group, and then later on when in the leadership group when you said you couldn't do it anymore, and I thought, and I said, I understand that you can't do it anymore, and I think, you really do need to get support, because, I've been to that place myself before as well, and, it's really important to get support, and, because sometimes we just can't do it by ourselves, and we really do have to reach out. And I think that's the other thing, when we do in those sorts of situations, as you said, that wasn't just like, well, the referral to here, it's like, checking up and making sure and supporting you to get that support as well. So again, that's all very important when we refer people, making sure that it all goes well, and and following up, and so it's been an interesting journey. Because we've known each other for about 9 years now. We decided, wasn't it?
It's
been quite a while.
It's been quite a while. It's one of those things, having you in my life, and your wife Jo.
Yes.
So there's one thing that in the leadership and stuff that we've done, and in the work that you do in another role, that we hopefully will get to have a chat about sometime down the track. There's a discussion about having 5 supportive people.
Yes.
When that came up, I just thought, 5? I can't even get half, let alone 5.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? And it was, the 5 supportive people can be a tricky one. And like when Daniel Whithouse was travelling around Australia mapping homophobia, he found that the magic of 5 supportive people. And Daniel Whithouse is the founding member of the National Institute for Challenging Homophobia Education, and he was also involved in the leadership groups with us. And so he found that the magic of 5 supportive people, so people that were thriving in rural and regional areas in Australia had 5 supportive people, and they were still facing the same challenges, but they were thriving despite those challenges. And when Daniel first started talking about that, I was like, and I was like, like you, Rob, it was like I don't have any, and what I had, of course, was huge internal resilience. But what I didn't have was any external resilience, you see. So I think we need to be looking at external and internal resilience as well. So I didn't have any external resilience. So to trust somebody, my life had taught me, and I grew up with family violence, so, I hadn't learned trust. So, so learning trust was pretty hard for me. But I could see that 5 supportive people was a very good thing. And I had my grandmother, who was an amazing woman, grew up in Backaburk and in a place called Cobar, and she was a Christian, a really true Christian to my way of thinking. And when I came out as transgender in my early 20s, because I did look to transition in my early 20s, and that's another story. But Gran sort of said, well, we made a mistake and Sharon was a boy, and she called me he and him, and she was really lovely around that. And I thought if I'd have had 5 people like her, and she'd passed away by then, my life would have been so much different. But unfortunately I didn't. So I had that in the back of my mind, but I could see that this 5 supportive people was a good thing, and I was banging on about it. And I was actually walking out of the shadows when they someone came up to me and said, I was saying about, make sure if someone's struggling, they've got 5 supportive people, or they've got supportive people around them. And I did come back to that. And anyway, someone said, who are your supportive people? And I went, and I'm a quick thinker, so I went, there's Lifeline, because I was talking for them. And then I said, there's John Clark from Rural Alive and Well, and I always know I could ring John. And, John was with Rural Alive and Well then, and I thought I could ring him up and he'd come to my place and I wouldn't even have to leave. And I felt like I could. And I thought I'm really going to have to walk away thinking I'm going to have to really walk this walk and not talk the talk. And there was many, many people around, and Daniel would have been one as well. There was many people I could have talked to, but I hadn't learned to reach out yet. So I really worked on that. And during lockdown, I came up with 5 supportive people on one hand and a couple of supportive service providers on the other. But I think it's really important with that we actually, I think, also say to people, if we know someone that's struggling, who are your supportive people? And if they don't have anybody, then say, like I think I said to you that time, Rob, I could be one of your supportive people. And Rob kind of looked at me and went, well, why would I trust you? You know? So it was one of those things because we hadn't learnt trust yet. And yet we are one of each other's 5 supportive people now. And that was, that was really life-changing for me, that 5 supportive people thing, because what actually happens now, and I was suicidal from the age of 12, so it was a long journey with suicidality for me. But what I found in all of those years was when I was struggling and I was down in that deep dark hole, I was down there by myself. So I had to get out by myself, But now with 5 supportive people, I reach out before I get there. And for me, it's when the voices in the back of my head start saying, you're stupid, you're useless, you'll never amount to anything, then I, just reach out to someone I know that cares about me. And I don't even have to have a conversation sometimes. And sometimes I might need to have a conversation too, but sometimes I just want to spend some time with someone I know that cares about me and, and just chill out and maybe have a meal and a couple of drinks or something like that. And, I've found that to be life-changing, utilising that 5 supportive people. In fact, in 2017, I did something I never expected to do, and I beat suicide. And, for me, that was... It's a big thing, yeah. But you have to change. Like, I had that pattern, I had that runway in my head, really, when things got tough, and it was people. When people were, when I felt like there was the discrimination, it's really hard to wear that discriminant wears you down at times, and, and then, and worrying about what other people think. Well, really, now I don't. There would come a time in my life where I thought, well, if people don't like me, don't waste my time. That's why I am the way I am, and you say I'm always the same, because I figured a long time ago, there's no good pretending to be someone you're not, so someone will like you. Just be yourself, and if people don't like you, then don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. So, so I had to sort of retrain my brain. Then I thought, well, this has been a coping strategy for me for many, many years. How do I change that? So I thought, I had to reroute my brain really to going to, so I had 79 acres here, and I thought, well, if humans are the problem, let's lock the gate and, turn off the phone. So that's my go-to place, and I had to then retrain my brain to when things got tough to go, let's lock the gate and turn off the phone. And Joe and I have said that a few times, but we haven't yet locked the gate or turned off. We turn off the phone sometimes, but we haven't locked the gate yet. But again, retraining my brain, because if something is a coping strategy, and I acknowledge that it wasn't a great coping strategy, but it was something that the only thing that gave me power over the world that persecuted me was that I could end my life. So. It became, in its own way, a coping strategy. But replace it with another better coping strategy, and it's a better result. So, yeah.
So just before we close, is there anything that, this is what I tend to ask people, is there something that, you would wish that somebody had asked you a question, or when you were younger, or something that you've come across that you'd like to share?
I guess really I just wish that people had listened. There was opportunities, certainly from my family where I cried for help and they really didn't listen. And I think that, that's what I just wanted someone to listen. My grandmother I could probably have talked to about anything, but I didn't know that, look to the people. So, always, if someone could have listened, I could have maybe explained some of what I was feeling, and that, that support. And I think, again, when I was struggling and, certainly with my family violence and that, I thought, why don't communities were very reluctant to step in on. Some people probably knew what was going on, when I wore long sleeve shirts to town in the 42 degrees heat or 45 degrees heat. Why is a kid wearing a long sleeve shirt? And I used to roll my sleeves up and show the bruises up my arms. But, but nobody, did anything about that in those days. And again, it was seen as disciplined and, but it wasn't. So there was all lots of other stuff as well, I suppose. But, again, I did, that's when I first, even then I was thinking, why don't communities support people? It's not easy.
No.
But,
no.
But, but I think that, that again, I still felt that communities should support each other and support, families and that too. And, and I think the other thing is that, certainly talking about my sexuality and gender identity, my family needed support with that as well. And they probably wouldn't have got it because they wouldn't have, but, I would have, I think that families should get support and all, families should be supported to support their children because that's really important. So,
thank you very much for having a conversation. As I say, I've been wanting to do this since I fell into podcasting, and so I've been very grateful that you've been able to allow me to come and spend some time and share time with you and Joe. It's been lovely, and to be able to sit out here and talk to you. And I'm sure we'll have another conversation somewhere down the line on another one of your hats that you wear.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. And we're really just, I'm grateful that we're able to sit here and given how close you come to not being with us.
Yeah.
It's really lovely that you can be here and, and we can have these moments because your friendship's very important to me and that we've developed over time, and it's great to have you here.
Yep.
Literally.
Thank you, Rainbow Sister.
Thank you, Rainbow Brother.
Okay, listeners, that's it for today. So till next time, take care and bye for now.